Hi everybody, Grandad here again. What am I up to today? Well, today I'm going to tell you a story, a little bit about some more local people. And this time, which is quite unusual for Shropshire, there's not a lot of famous ladies, but these are about three ladies. Before I get started on that though, I just recently did a video about a really old man by the name of Thomas Parr. Now, Thomas Parr, there's his picture. Got another picture of him there, just so you can remember what he would look like. He was said to be the oldest man in the world, maybe, at 152. And when I was showing you that video, and if you haven't seen it, I suggest you have a look it up and go and learn all about Thomas Parr and how he lived in Shropshire and his story. But when I was doing that little video, I showed this picture. And it's a picture of my sister looking at one of my dad's birdhouses. Now I showed this picture, and I had to show this one because I couldn't find the one I really wanted. Well, now I've discovered it. Unbeknownst to me, while I was showing you this picture, the picture I really wanted to show you was on the back, and I didn't see it. So there's another picture, and that is my dad, and he's actually stood by his famous birdhouses that he made, the old Parr's cottage, and he was very proud of that, and there he is standing there. So I thought I'd show that picture just to catch up and say that I did manage to find the picture, and there he is, my dad, and he looks a bit like me now. He was in his 80s then, I think, but I did find it, so I just wanted to do a little catch up. Now the three ladies I want to talk to you about today, the first one is a 20th century novelist, and she lived not far from Shrewsbury. She was actually born Mary Gladys Meredith at Leighton Lodge in Shropshire, the village of Leighton, about 8 miles southwest of Shrewsbury. So she's lived quite close to me, about within 20 miles of me. But she's better known as her married name, which was Mary Webb. Now, Mary Webb was a writer. Her father was a school teacher, and he persuaded her to get into literature and writing, and she wrote a lot of books and poems. And I've just made a short list here of some of the books that she wrote, which are very famous and made into films by some people. And I've seen a couple. I haven't read the books, unfortunately. I'm not that good a reader, but I've seen the films of them, and they're very good. And if you ever want to look up a good romantic novel and film, you wouldn't go wrong with this. And one of them was called, a very famous one, was called Gone to Earth. And it was a romantic love story about a person who had a romance with a local chap and got in all sorts of scrapes. And it was all written about South Shropshire and the hills and all around there. And Gone to Earth had something to do with a fox, I think. I don't know, about something to do with a fox, I don't know. But it was something to do with that. Another book she wrote was The Golden Arrow, which is very famous, and I think that was made into a film. And Precious Bane, which was another book she wrote, which was televised, and that's been on television, and that was really good. Very interesting story there. And there was another one called The Spring of Joy, The Armour Within We Trust, I think it's called. But she was a very interesting lady. And she lived not far from me. So that's a famous lady that was about the day. Now another lady that was very instrumental in Shropshire and was very great help. Incidentally, Mary Webb was born in, I meant to tell you this, Mary Webb was born in 1881 and she died in 1927. So she wasn't that old. I think she was in her late 40s when she died, which is a shame. But she was a very good poet and a very good novelist. And she wrote a lot of books and well worth looking up. Now, another lady, which is getting slightly off the beaten track really with, she was famous because she was actually a nurse, and she was the first orthopedic nurse in Shropshire, and did a lot with, there's a hospital called the Robert Jones and Agnes Hunt Orthopedic Hospital in Oswestry, where I live, and Dame Agnes Hunt was instrumental in in getting that hospital built, and she thought that fresh air and all that sort of thing was good for people with who had problems with orthopedics and leg injuries. And the Robert Jones and Agnes Hunt Hospital is very well known. Now there's a picture of her again that I've got to show what she looked like. This is her in later life, presumably. Don't know why that's come up. Let's get rid of that. The trouble with cameras, they always go wrong on you, don't they? There we are. That's a little picture of Dame Agnes Hunt when she was in her latter years, and she was orthopaedic nurse and founded the Robert Jones and Agnes Hunt Hospital right here in Oswestry. Now, I don't know whether there's a great deal more. She was born in 1866 and died in 1948, and she was very good with that sort of thing. And I haven't got a great deal of information about her, but she's on Wikipedia and all that, so if you're interested in Dame Agnes Hunt and you want to find out more about what she did, then look her up. Now, this next little story is a bit of a sad tale, if I can find it. And it concerned another lady that lived in Shrewsbury, and her name was Hilda Murrell. Now, Hilda Murrell was murdered, which was very sad. She was a very old lady, and she was into gardening, and I think she actually had a market garden in Shrewsbury where she grew roses, and she was famous for growing these roses. And she lived in a posh part of Shrewsbury, and she got involved at a time when there was a great deal of conspiracy theories. I mean, it says here that it was 10 years ago, but it was much longer back than that. But it was certainly a time when conspiracy theories and a great deal of trouble was going on with things like the nuclear disarmament. And she was nuclear disarmament and Sizewell nuclear plants and things like that. And she got involved in that, and she was campaigning to try and stop that being done. So she was a bit of a target for espionage and things like that, I suppose, MI5 and all them sort of people, spies. And also, which was interesting, which added to the story, was the fact that her nephew was something to do with the Falklands War and the sinking of the Belgrano. So this all meant that when she got murdered, which was said to be done by a casual thief who just broke into her house, and she disturbed him there, burgling the house, and he murdered her. But he murdered her in a most unusual way, but he was really brutal. I mean, the story of the death of Hilda Murrell is really blood-curdling, and the way they treated her. There was all sorts of strange things that happened. The house had been ransacked, and she'd been assaulted and left in a terrible state. She'd been stabbed in the stomach several times, and through the arm as well, which is rather unusual for a robber. You'd think a robber would just bash her on the head and run away, but no, he completely murdered her, and then he took off in her car, which was strange. Why would he take the body away from the house? I mean, well, you'd think he'd just want to get away, but he took the body away and went up to a lonely spot up in the woods, up in Lith Hill, I think it was, which was close by from where she lived. And the car crashed somehow. I don't know how that happened, but the car crashed into a ditch, and she was found several days later. Her car was found when she went missing, and they discovered her body there lying in the woods, and she'd probably died of blood loss and things like that after this terrible injuries. But it was blamed on a casual sort of thief that broke in and tried to ransack the place. But there was a great conspiracy theories rang up around her. Now, I don't think I've got a picture of her. I've got some more pictures here which I'll bring up towards the end, because there are other pictures of the other people I've mentioned. But there was certainly a great deal of controversy as to what had actually happened to Hilda Murrell. And she was not a hero really. I mean, as I say, she was a rose grower and a very famous lady and a very old lady. So why you wouldn't think of robbing her, I don't know. But it was certainly a very strange occurrence, and well worth, if you're interested in that sort of thing, which I aren't particularly interested in murders. I think murders terrible thing, and it shouldn't be sort of televised. And I'm not glorifying the person who killed her. I'm saying what a shame it was that such a lovely old lady should have been murdered in such a brutal manner. But it certainly caused a lot of controversy in Shropshire and all over the world. And there's a great many things that went on. The phone had been tampered with, and all sorts of things in the house had been disturbed, and they will seem to be searching the house, maybe for papers belonging to her nephew about the Belgrano incident, and all things like that came into it. But of course you can't always believe these conspiracy theories. They find all this information and they tie it together and make a conspiracy out of it. I mean, it may have been just a simple robbery that went wrong, I don't know. But it was certainly a very interesting story, and if you're interested in that sort of thing, look up the story of Hilda Murrell and you'll find all about it. Now, that's my three little people that I was going to tell you about. Now, I've got, as I say, some more pictures here, if I can get them to come up. But they always go missing when I want them. They're never what I want. Let's go back to that. No, screenshots, that's what I want. Now, I mentioned at the beginning Dame Agnes Hunt. And there's another picture of Dame Agnes Hunt. She doesn't look very happy there. Dame Agnes Hunt, she doesn't look very happy, and she's actually on crutches, so I don't know whether she had some injuries herself. But she certainly doesn't look very happy there. But that's another picture of Dame Agnes Hunt. Now, I mentioned Mary Webb, and there's a lovely picture there of Mary Webb, which is on the cover of one of her books. And that's a lovely picture of her there. And I think I've got some more pictures. And she's got a statue. Mary Webb's got a statue somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that is, but there's a statue of her that's been put up. And there's another picture, not quite so handsome looking on that one. But she was a nice lady. And as I say, she wrote a lot of books. And there's another one, just to give you some idea of what she must have looked like back in the day. And we're going back to Thomas Parr again now. Let's just have a little look, see if I've missed any that I can tell you about. No, I think that's it. So, I think there's a couple more ladies here that I might just mention. This one is a lady that's Eglantyne Jebb, and she was born in 1876 in Ellesmere, Shropshire, and she was a founder of Save the Children Fund in 1919, a fundraiser and provided famine relief for children in Germany and Austria. And she then drafted the first declaration of the children's rights that have now evolved into the UN Constitution of Rights of the Child. So she was a very famous lady. I said there was going to be three, but there's actually four now, I see. Eglantyne Jebb, and she was very good. Now, another lady who I'll mention, because there's going to be four ladies now by the look of it, is Ellis Peters. Now, Ellis Peters was another Ethel Mary Peters, 1913 to 1995. She was born in September in Horsehay, Shropshire. She had Welsh ancestry, which was reflected in her many novels, with a novel being set in Wales and the borderlands of the Welsh protagonists. She was a well-known author who wrote many different books and history, and her story is well worth looking up if you're interested in female heroes of Shropshire. I got a little bit there. She did something during the war and something, but I think that's probably all I can say now about the local heroines. I suppose they are. They're not heroes, they're heroines, aren't they? Local heroines of Shropshire. But look them up, all those people I've mentioned, and find out the story about it yourself. And I like to try and do as much as I can, so I find out any more about these people and I'll mention it on another video, I suppose, as time goes on. I don't know whether this video has been very good, but I hope it is, and it showed you that there are heroines as well as heroes in Shropshire. We do have all sorts. And until I see you again, hope you can subscribe to my videos and like this one if you did like it. If you didn't like it, but I don't mind. I don't mind as long as I get a little connection. But I like telling people about things and I like making these videos. So until we see you again with some other tall tales, I've got some more to tell. But that'll do for now, and I'll see you next time. And as Grandad always, as he says, bye-bye now. Bye-bye.